Today we're going to talk about the ozone layer. So there's your heading, ozone layer. If I go too fast for you, please pause the video. Go ahead and write this down. The ozone layer is located about 20 miles up in the atmosphere. This is in the stratosphere. Remember, troposphere is the layer closest to the Earth. Then we have the stratosphere. That's where the ozone layer is going to be found, about 20 miles up. Now, one of the big questions is what is ozone? Ozone is just a fancy type of oxygen. Go ahead and write this. 3 molecules of oxygen. O3 is ozone. The oxygen floating around in this room that we breathe is O2. So O3 is 3 atoms of oxygen bonded together, just like in this picture here. Okay, there's ozone. This will be what you breathe, just 2 oxygen, O2. And then from our periodic table, just 1 oxygen would look like that. So ozone is O3. You don't have to write this, but we have holes in our ozone layer. First observed this in the 80s, that something was happening to our ozone. Go ahead and write this down. What does the ozone layer do? And put that first bullet there. The ozone layer absorbs ultraviolet radiation that can cause issues like skin cancer or can kill plants and animals. So the ozone layer is basically a cloud of oxygen that is going to protect us from UV rays from the sun. Acts as kind of a blanket or a shield. Now imagine if there'd be holes in the ozone layer, then more UV radiation is going to get to the Earth and cause things to hurt things, or to cause cells to mutate, because that's what cancer does. You don't need to write this, but holes are caused when the ozone is depleted faster than it can be replaced. We'll skip this here. Go ahead and write this down. What destroys ozone? We're going to list some things. What destroys ozone? The first is sunlight. Go ahead and put both of those bullets. Sunlight naturally destroys ozone. What happens is when UV rays hit the ozone, that O3, they're going to break up the O3 into O2 and O. So we got these O3 molecules hanging out in the atmosphere, and basically they're going to kind of sacrifice themselves for us here on Earth. So we have the O3, okay, and it's going to get hit, and it's going to break it up into O2 and O. So the sunlight is naturally going to do that. Now, in different places where the amount of sunlight is different, you're going to have different amounts of ozone being broke up. Okay, for example, right now we are just about to winter. Okay, our daylight is really short. We have lots of nighttime, very little daylight because we're pointed away from the Earth. So right now our ozone is recharging. The O2 and the O can come back together. Okay, over time they come back together. So right now our ozone is rebonding. During the summer, in like June, July, okay, we have tons of sunlight and very little darkness. Okay, we are pointed towards the sun. So during that time, our ozone gets depleted big time because there's tons and tons of sunlight breaking it up. And then during the winter, it recharges. On the other places of the earth, it might be the opposite. For example, places near the South Pole right now are burning up their ozone right now because they're faced the earth. The North Pole is recharging. And if you're on the equator, then it's just kind of the same all year round, about the same 12 hours of day, 12 hours of night. So sunlight can break it up. Large volcanic eruptions can break it up. Go ahead and write this down. They release gases and chemicals in the air that destroy ozone. This is a natural thing. It happens. There's not a ton of large volcanic eruptions throughout the world on any given year. But it's natural. So sunlight, naturally going to happen. Large volcanic eruptions, naturally going to happen. The third one is CFCs. I would write that all down there, but just chlorofluorocarbons is a compound. Chlorine, fluorine, and carbon. And these come from refrigerants, aerosol cans. Okay, these CFCs are going to do the same thing that the sun does as well. It's going to break up those O3 into O2 and O. If you have a spray bottle of any sort, now, whether it's deodorant or spray paint or hairspray, somewhere on it it's probably going to say contains no CFCs. Back in the day, they put CFCs in that so it would spray out of the can. Well, now it's illegal to have those, so it'll say, there will be a little circle thing that says contains no CFCs. So the sun, natural. Volcanic eruptions, natural. CFCs, no. And that's why we had the weak spots in the ozone layer, is because of this. You don't need to write this, but one chlorine molecule from CFCs can destroy 100,000 ozone molecules. So just a little puff of CFCs can break up a lot of ozone. I do want you to write the top part. O2 and O will eventually recombine to form ozone. O2 and O will eventually recombine to form ozone. So when the sun breaks up that O3 into O2 and O, it will eventually rebond and be used again. So it is renewable, but it just takes time. That is all for our ozone.